Hello and welcome everyone. Andy Bryan here from The Soul Pathway. And within this audio recording, I'm going to be speaking with you about awakening to the divine matrix of the world in which we live. I'm going to be speaking with you about our journey and how we begin to awaken to who we truly are, both individually and collectively as a people. As I'm a personal believer that each and every one of us needs to understand our journey, because we're all aware right now that we are facing difficult and challenging times. And it's essential for us to understand our journey and what it is that we're going through so that we can awaken and shift the collective consciousness so that we are not stepping into a dark world which none of us wants to walk into, but instead we are awakening with regards to, you could say, the age of Aquarius into this new and beautiful world. But the challenging thing about our journey is that not only do we have to go through it individually, each and every one of us, so we go through the trials and tribulations, we grow and evolve, we shift our consciousness and awareness, and we ultimately become who we're meant to be. But as a collective, we have to do the same. But what does that mean? It means that as a collective consciousness, what happens to us as a people isn't decided by you and I, the one person. Collectively, we all have to rise. And this is where we have to work together to support one another with awakening to the divine matrix with the world in which we live. So let me share with you the journey that each and every one of us go through individually and collectively as a people. And within this audio recording, I'm going to be reflecting upon the hero's journey and the work of Joseph Campbell, and also my own work with regards to the soul pathway, because much of my work actually evolved from the work of Joseph Campbell, and I feel it's incredibly relevant to the world in which we live as we awaken to who we are. So the hero's journey is very much a universal process which each and every one of us go through. As I've said, you as an individual will go through this process yourself, and other people will also go through it as well, and collectively we as a people will go through the same process. And it starts off by living in the original world, and the original world is that divine matrix, and I regard this as your old self. And this is where you're connected with the old conditions and patterns of society, culture, religion, values and beliefs passed on to you by your parents and those people you looked up to from a young age. These paint your original world. And you could say within the Matrix, the movie, when Neo wakes up and he connects with that old city that's broken down and somewhat derelict. You could say that is what your original world is like, and each and every one of our original worlds are like in many ways. Because as you begin to awaken, you start to see through the facade of what is being played out before your eyes, and realize that all of the systems and structures that are in place aren't actually serving you at all in any way, shape or form. They are just painting the picture that this is the way in which you should be living your life. And then we go through this awakening experience. And Joseph Campbell regarded this as your call to adventure. I've rephrased it, your soul awakening, because you awaken to either aspects within yourself or even the world around you. If you are awakening to aspects within yourself, these may be aspects of yourself that have been shut and locked away for many, many years. Aspects of your shadow that you don't want to look at because you're afraid of, because they've brought you certain pain and discomfort within your life. Now, with regards to the collective consciousness and the world around us, you could be awakening to the truth and corruption of the world in which we live. Now, when you think about this, you could also regard this as your collective shadow, where you look at the corruption within the medical system, you look at the corruption within the financial system, and so on and so forth. You know, you can speak about the deep level of corruption with each and every industry in many ways. And I know many of you are awakening to this matrix right now, and you are finding it challenging because you are realizing that there are those people that are awake to what's going on and can see the facade in front of them. And there are also those people that are completely shut off to it because they don't want to see it. Now, I'm a personal believer right now that each and every one of us has experienced somewhat of an awakening experience, or that call to adventure which Joseph Campbell speaks about. And this is where it becomes interesting, because when you are awakened, you can choose to accept that truth or the new reality that you've become aware of, or you can refuse to accept it. And this is where we are facing what Joseph Campbell regarded as the refusal to cool. And I speak about this process as the phase of self-inquiry. Now, what is that refusal to cool, though? So if you think about those conditions and patterns that have shaped the way you live your life, they are deeply rooted with each and every one of us. And it doesn't matter whether you are young or old. The conditioning does run deep within each and every one of us. And in each and every moment, we have that choice to either accept new information that is being fed to us, or deny some of those aspects within, or the truth of that collective shadow that is looking to be revealed right now. And I know there are many of you who are awake, and your role right now is also to assist with awakening others to this divine truth. But it's really essential that you understand that everybody will go through this refusal to cool, and they will have this deep sense of denial within, because within each and every one of us we want to believe that people are good intentioned. Our politicians, the people that run our world in many ways, you know, they are looking out for our best interests. And obviously when we awaken, we come to realize that that isn't necessarily the truth at all. And in fact, it could in fact be the polar opposite. But with regards to this refusal to cool, I've changed the name to self-inquiry, because I believe this is more important than anything right now. Because when you look within yourself and you inquire what is going on in your life or in the world around you, then you can begin to see the truth and see through the facade of the world in which we live. So then, instead of facing that denial and refusal to accept that which is being shown to you, then you can begin to move forward. In the next phase of the journey, Joseph Campbell spoke about meeting a mentor or a helper. And you could say these are those of you who are trying to wake people up, trying to help people to see the reality of the facade that is going on right now. And as a mentor and helper, someone that is trying to wake others up to this divine matrix and truth, your role is to part them with new information. But as within the Matrix movie, Morpheus always used to say, you have to be the person to walk through the door. Which, from my perspective, this is what this is all about. People aren't willing to walk through the door. But this doesn't mean you should be disheartened, because each and every one of us will awaken in our own time. Now, the main challenge with all of this is that individually we can take things at our own pace and allow things to evolve in their own time. When it comes to the collective consciousness, however, this will impact on each and every one of us. So what we have to do is learn to separate ourselves from the collective consciousness in a way that we can find this peace and contentment within ourselves, in the knowing that we have to live for each and every moment, in the knowing that things can change in an instant. So I like to speak about the archetype of the sage here, because the sage is the archetype who searches for the truth, whether that be the truth within themselves, the world around them, or even their connection with the universe. They dig deep to uncover this deep truth. And the role of the sage, from a higher levels of consciousness, is to actually seek and find wisdom in the knowing that the only person that you can only truly change is yourself. So it's essential that you separate yourself from the environment, the collective consciousness, and you find your way to live life on your own terms. And this is where, through the next phase of your spiritual journey, you go through this shift. And Joseph Campbell likes to call it crossing the threshold, because this is where you shift your consciousness and awareness and make that determined decision to live life in the way at which you choose. And this is where you have the belief and confidence to step on your journey and path in your own way. Now, moving into the next stage and phase of your journey is then when we step into the phase of transcendence. And Joseph Campbell likes to call this our road of trials. Now, individually at the moment, we can go through this phase of transcendence. We can grow and evolve and choose to live life on our own terms. to find our bliss within. But with regards to our collective journey, we're being held back in many ways by the collective consciousness, because the vast majority of people are stuck in that refusal to call. So however much we are living our own life on our own terms, we have to still have that hope and belief that we can assist others in awakening, because that is the beauty of all of this. And when the time comes and the collective consciousness are ready to awaken as a whole, then we can cross this threshold together and go through this shift, and then embark on our road of trials, where we face trials and tribulations and begin shaping this new world in which we live. And this is in many ways, and I know politicians have said this many times, is where we build back better. But it's where those old systems and structures of society have been broken down because they don't work anymore. And people start to realise they're not actually serving them as people anyway. So those old systems and structures will break down. I do believe that. We will go through a period of time where it will be challenging. But this is where you and I need to connect with your gifts and talents, because you can build a system and structure in your own way that serves your community, as I can build my own structure that can build mine. And together, as a collective, we can build and step into this new and beautiful world. But we have to face this ordeal. We have to go through these challenges, face these obstacles, in order to step into who we truly are and birth this new world and become whole and at one with ourselves. Because the penultimate stage is in many ways the phase of unification, where you become at one with who you are, your mind, your body and your soul, your ego, yourself and your shadow. And as a collective, this is where we become at one together and live in this beautiful, harmonious union. But there is a journey to get there, and the journey is the destination, but we have to have trust and faith that we will get there in our own time. So I know this recording has been a bit of me rambling on about how our journey is affecting us right now as individuals and collectively, but I do wholeheartedly believe that we all have hope, and we have to work together to assist one another in awakening to this divine matrix, so that we can step into this new and beautiful world that is awaiting us on the other side. Take care everyone, much love, and I do look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.